Welcome to Against the Flow, the podcast with Jordan.
Against the Flow. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another brand new episode of ATF the Podcast. I am Jordan, I'm your host, and I'm excited because we have another guest today. Kasama ko sa table. Itong person na to is on a mission to rescue the youth. So without further ado, please welcome from Rescue Kabataan, Miss Abby Raimundo. Hello!
Hello po, Pastor. Hello sa lahat ng mga makikinig at saka manonood.
Thank you so much and for coming here today. You're on a busy schedule. Mm-hmm. You've been hopping campuses.
Yes.
Madami bang mga kabataan na kailangan i-rescue these days?
Sobra. Tsaka parang hindi na kabataan lang. may iba, magulang na. Yung iba,
sama na natin.
Yes, lahat.
Well, whoever needs rescuing, take it from us here in ATF. Jesus saves. Okay? And Miss Abby, I came across you sa Puso Conference.
Yeah.
It was in Araneta. And when me and my wife heard her testimony, such a wonderful testimony here, so powerful. Before you founded Rescue Kabataan, and we'll get to that, you were a kabataan that needed rescuing.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, like I said, I watched you and thousands of people were really touched and blessed by your testimony dun sa Araneta. And then I said, I gotta invite, my wife was telling me, we were both telling each other, you gotta invite her to Taytay. And then we saw you eating takoyaki.
Yes.
And we're like, what is she doing here? And then yung pala, taga rito ko na rin.
Yes, taga Taytay.
So great. So we were able to invite her sa church na rin and share her testimony there. And now, well, since she is a part of my tour, ganun naman lagi kapag nag-guest ko sa program, church naman, or somewhere else. So thank you again. So I heard your testimony. You are a PK,
yes,
a pastor's kid.
Yes.
Would you tell us about your story?
Okay. So, I'm a pastor's kid. Both of my parents are missionary pastors. Actually, they're church planters. So, kasi pastor, di ba, during that time, ang pastor talaga medyo extreme. My father was extreme. As in talaga siya yung patay kung patay. And then yung to the point na pag inaabotan ng love gift, ayaw niyang kunin kasi extreme lang talaga siya. Tapos nung bata ko, mag-iisip ako, so anong uulamin namin, ganyan. So kaya nga, naging best friend ko ang kamyas. Kasi lalo sa probinsya, kapag kami puno ng kamyas, automatic yan, pwede yan pang ulam. So I find it na parang amusing at the same time na ang papa ko extreme, pero at the same time, feeling ko superhero siya kasi hindi naman din kami pinapabayaan ni Lord. Pero dumating din sa point na bigla na lang siyang magkakaroon ng conviction or ng calling na lilipat na kami ng panibagong lugar. So makikita mo na lang may truck dyan sa harapan namin, and then yung mga damit namin nasa sako lang, and then lipat na ulit. So wala akong na-establish na barkada, ganyan. So I jumped from one school to another. Although by God's grace, naging scholar kami ng kuya ko sa lahat ng mga pinupuntahan namin. And then sikat din ang pastor noon, actually until now, di ba? Pero sa probinsya, ang pastor kasi all-in-one. Mula sa pinanganak hanggang sa mamatay, pastor, tawag, ganyan. So, feeling ko sikat na sikat yung papa ko. Pero, kaya gumuho yung mundo ko nung namatay siya. So,
sorry to hear.
Yeah, so he died inside the church gathering. So, nag-preach siya, nag-pray siya, and then, natapos niya lahat. Yung pagka-amen niya, hindi na niya dinilat yung mga mata niya. So, actually, it was his dream death. Sa Bible niya nakalagay talaga doon kung anong gusto niyang dream death. Nakunin siya ni Lord sa loob ng gawain. So, sa papa ko, dream death yun. Pero sa akin, hindi yun.
Yes,
hindi
it's a
siya
nightmare
yes,
for us.
Diba? So, nung time na yon, dinala pa yung papa ko sa hospital, sa ICU. Nasa Pangasinan kami noon. So, 3 ugat niya sa utak ang pumutok, aneurysm. Pero ang cause ng kanyang aneurysm was over fatigue.
Oh my.
So, nung nalaman ko na ang kinamatay ng papa ko was over fatigue, sobrang galit ko sa church, sobrang galit ko sa born-again Christians. Kasi feeling ko kung hindi napagod ang papa ko, dapat buhay pa siya. Okay? So, galit na galit ako sa mama ko noon, galit na galit ako sa kuya ko noon kasi yung mama ko parang sobrang faithful niya kay Lord. So, parang nagpapasalamat pa rin siya kay Lord. Yan, hindi ko maintindihan yun kasi ako, I was just grieving. Yung kuya ko gusto pa rin mag-pastor. So, feeling ko ako lang masama, ako lang naiwan sa ere.
And how old were you during this time?
12.
You were only 12.
Yes.
And your dad
yes.
was how old?
40.
40s pa lang.
Yes.
That's
yes.
my age.
Yeah.
Admittedly. Okay. But before we proceed, okay, may I insert a trigger warning? Because I've heard this testimony and some of you, well, may be bothered by it. But I assure you, if you stick around till the end, you will be blessed. Okay? But before we proceed, quick questions like, do you still eat kamyas? Or do you like kamyas?
Yes.
It's not like other people naman. No, it reminds me of, my childhood. And some people's childhoods are painful.
Yes.
So, kamyas naman went with you in other places. That's the good thing about kamyas.
Yes.
It will grow on any tree.
Yes.
Now, just in case may listeners tayo, ate, pastor, what's kamyas?
Ano ba kami sa English?
Is it a fruit? Is it?
Yes, it is.
It's a fruit.
Diba?
It's a green fruit and it grows on trees. A kamyas tree?
Yeah.
kamyas
Parang
tree.
ano siya, parang kalahi siya ng mga balimbing, ganyan.
And it's super sour.
Yes. Ginagamit siya sa sinigang ng ibang tao. Yeah.
Diba? So, my wife likes that, I believe. Yeah, yung mga santol, ano man maasim.
Yes.
Pero hindi ko nga alam kung bakit ako yung pinili niya kasi sweet ako eh.
Ayun, yan.
But anyhow, shout outs. And so, going back to you, Miss Abby, you were also talking about how, your dad was really, he was talagang patay kung patay. And I know pastors were like that. So one of the questions I'm going to ask you later on is yung how can the pastors balance it out naman? Kasi yung on one end, I have a friend then, just came from the ER in the morning kasi nahilo at suka. And that's actually a symptom of stroke.
Yeah.
Because I had just had a friend a few weeks back who died and yun yung symptom. And now my pastor friend had that same symptom na ER, nakauwi ng 4 a.m. and then kinakamusta namin, uy, kamusta ka na? And then nag-message siya, 10 a.m., meron siyang kina-counsel. And I'm like, Pastor, pwede ba mapahinga ka muna para, wait, they will understand. Di ba? Na if you tell them, can we move it? Para makapagpahinga ka naman. And so, may mga pastor na ganun talaga they're like, hindi, gotta put God first. Forget our body. Pero yung how about preserving this body so that we can live a little longer, be a little stronger for the ministry, for our family. But going back to your story, so how did you feel at 12 years old na ang father mo na sa tingin mo si Superman, kasi nga parang hindi tinatablan, ay tinablan.
Yeah.
And he reminds me of my uncle actually. You said dream death. My uncle naman, he always told us, kapag ako namatay, gusto ko habang natutulog. And when we ask why, he says, para pagdilat daw niya, si Jesus na yung kaharap niya. Tapos bibiruin pa niya ako, ikaw. He's like, baka naman di si Jesus yung kaharap mo. And I wasn't even a Christian yet talaga. So that got me thinking. But he died naman during his sleep in the car when a bus hit them head on. And so he was sleeping. And so, when he opened his eyes, he was with Jesus. So for him, for your dad, that's awesome. Para sa atin, it's not.
Yes.
So going back to your story, Miss Abby, at 12 years old, you got angry at the church because parang fault nila to. And this is the part that really hit me kasi I am also a father of a PK. And I'm like, Lord, please. When I heard your story, I'm like thinking about my daughter who's 7 right now. Baka naman mamatay din ako sa ministry and then magalit tong mga anak sa church or sa Lord. So what happened during those times?
Yeah, so aside sa galit na galit ako sa mama ko, sa kuya ko, at saka sa church, of course, galit na galit ako kay Lord. Kasi I was telling my mom, bakit hindi nila yung kapitbahay natin na labas-pasok sa kulungan, yun na lang namatay, di ba? Bakit hindi na lang yung ibang tao? Bakit yung papa ko? At saka wala kasi, parang we were not given a chance na parang walang yung parang mga signs, walang ganun kasi during that day umattend pa yung papa ko siya pa yung speaker sa school ko, recognition, ganyan. Tapos sa school ng kuya ko, siya din. Tapos parang normal na araw lang.
So he had no underlying sickness,
Wala.
maintenance, wala. It came out of
talaga.
nowhere. Okay.
But of course, later on in life, mapapaisip ka kasi kinukwento ng mom ko na ang papa ko ay matigas nga ang ulo, na halimbawa sinasabihan na siguro kailangan mong pa-check up, ganyan. Pero especially during the time pag church planter ka, tingin ko talaga sa kanila parang they have no time for themselves. So parang sige lang, go lang ng go. So nung namatay yung papa ko, I started to rebel. So at the age of 12, I started to be so addicted with pornography. Actually, yun yung first talaga na yung parang yun yung pinuntahan ko kagad. Kasi parang I was thinking na yun yung safe place ko. Nobody will know, parang gano'n, di ba? So, and then kasi during that time, very active na nag-start na rin ako magteatro, ganyan. And then I started to be friends with people na talagang into worldly things, ganyan. So, I was into pornography from 12 to 23. So, mahaba-habang journey yun. And then, at the age of 16, nasa Manila na ako nito, I started to be so addicted with drinking and smoking. So, basically, I was a party animal. Kinukwento ko nga lagi na kahit saang sulok yan, basta may inuman, papatusin ko yan. Just because I wanted to forget the pain. But definitely, you will not forget the pain. Di ba? Parang nagdadagdag ka lang, pinapalalim mo lang yung sugat. So, naging party animal ako, and then at the age of 16 also, I entered sexual relationships with men and women. I was a bisexual because I was thinking then na, gusto mo to, Lord, so lahat ng kasalanan gagawin ko para lang ma-pissed off ka, parang ganyan. And then, I wanted to prove to my mom and to my brother na ito yung tao na iniwan ninyo kapalit ng ministry. May ganon. Kahit na hindi naman nila ako iniwan talaga. So may ganong pagre-rebelde. So at the age of 16 also, naging mistress ako. So I was a mistress from 16 to 23. And then at the age of 17, I started to use illegal substances. Actually, nag-start ako sa rugby, ganyan, hanggang sa mga party drugs. Kasi nagkaroon ako ng mga connection. Dahil nga nagbabar ako, ganyan lagi. So nag-start ako. Nung una, denial talaga ako na parang, hindi, parang everybody's doing this naman, di ba? Umiinom, mga combination na tinatawag, ganyan. But then eventually, pag kinukwento na sa akin kung ano yung ginagawa ko, parang may lapses na meron ako mga bagay na hindi ko naaalala, tapos kinukwento lang sa akin na ginawa ko. And then I finally accepted na, okay, I'm into party drugs. So dahil inaccept ko na siya, sige, tuloy na lang. Ganun siya. Then akala ko magkakaroon ako ng turning point nung naging victim ako ng gang rape nung ako ay 19 years old. So, but I always say this, na maraming victims ng rape, sexual abuse, molestation, na talaga sila ay blameless. But I was not blameless. That's why may mga group of people na they question why I would say na I was not blameless. Kasi sa mundo natin ngayon, pag victim ka, period. Of course, nung first part na nung hindi pa ako nagsishare ng testimony, victim mentality talaga. But then when I realized na, oops, pwede palang hindi ako na-rape eh. Kasi mali yung mga sinamahan kong tao. Kasi nagpunta ako sa lugar na to nung gabi na yon. Kasi talagang I presented myself in a manner na pwede mong gawin yon. Okay, so that's my take. That's my stand about it. So, pero during that time, dahil nga victim mentality ako, nung naging victim ako ng gang rape, mas lalo akong nagalit kay Lord. Kasi, bakit? Bakit mo to kailangan gawin sa akin? Nasaan ka na naman? Ganyan, ginusto mo talaga to? Asan ang mama ko? Nasaan kuya ko? And nobody wants to believe. Kasi nga, nung nag-aaral ako sa University Belt, ibang-ibang image ko. People are calling me pokpok. People are calling me na walang pag-asa yan. Magkakaroon niya ng anak sa iba't ibang lalaki. Ganyan. And so, because walang gustong maniwala sa akin, nilihim ko talaga siya sa mom ko at saka sa kuya ko na during that time, missionary pa rin ang mama ko, nagmi-mission sa iba't ibang bansa, and my brother ay nagtitraining na to become a youth pastor. So, ako, nasa Manila ako noon, and ang ginawa ko noon, para lang mag-cope ako sa mga needs ko. Kasi dahil walang gustong maniwala sa akin, dumating sa point na umalis ako sa tinitirahan ko, nagpalaboy-laboy ako, tapos ayun na, nangangalkal na ako ng pagkain sa mga basurahan ng fast food chains, lahat ng mga feeding program sa Taft Avenue, pinipilahan ko, just because of pride. I don't want to seek help kasi nauna na yung pride ko at saka yung ego ko na wala namang gustong tumulong sa akin. So, isa lang yung naging turning point ko in a negative way na kung bakit umalis ako sa pagkukuha ng mga pagkain sa basurahan. Ayokong mamatay na pulubi, ayokong mamatay na pangit, ayokong mamatay na dugyot, ganyan. So, para magkaroon ako ng pera, I entered escort service. So, naging prostitute ako from 19 to 23. Pero habang ginagawa ko lahat ng kalokohan na yon, na pumapasok pa rin ako pag may time, ganyan. And nakagraduate pa rin ako. I graduated from Philippine Normal University, Education.
Wow, that's so crazy because sometimes people will just do one thing. If it's studies, if it's do all that, then it's hard to balance that. Like it's two worlds. Now, I'll pause you real quick, because I have some thoughts. Like, one, you still believed in God.
Yeah.
And some people, they would just totally drop God, be like, you're not for real kasi hinayaan mo mangyari to eh. So how can a loving God allow my father to die and me go through this? And so people will just deny him na lang. That's the other parang payback that they will do. But in your case, you did it pa nga as motivation to get back at him. So iba-iba ang mga tao. And then the other takeaway I had earlier with what you were sharing is that you don't set yourself up to be a victim. Like there are times that you just position yourself away from the danger. But in your case, you were saying you kept going to where the danger was at until it just got worse and worse and worse. So you graduated. You managed to graduate, but how's your life even after graduation?
Wala, tuloy-tuloy pa rin siya. Kaya at the age of 21, nagtuturo na ako nito. Doon ako nagkaroon ng 7 kaso. Kasi hindi ko mapaghiwalay yung career ko bilang isang teacher at saka bilang isang prostitute. Now, ako ay tinatawag na victim ng gang rape. So, nung 21 ako, ang naging kaso ko naman ay rape. So, 7 kaso ng rape ang ginawa ko, ang nagawa ko habang ako ay nagtuturo. And because of that, so nag-start na mag-compile ng cases against sa akin, and ang call talaga noon ay patanggalan ako ng license. And because of yung plan na yon, I decided to commit suicide. I tried to kill myself for 3 times. Just because ang pride ko na lang noon, ang pinanghahawakan ko na lang noon ay yung lisensya ko. Tapos matatanggal pa. Parang ganon. Okay? Hindi ko nakikita na may mali sa ginawa ko. Yung image lang ang nakikita ko. Image ko na kailangan kong i-portray. So, I tried to kill myself for 3 times, pero I always share this na every time I wanted to kill myself, the Lord would always come to my rescue. But I'm also sharing this, especially sa mga kabataan, na hindi mo kailangang mag-try na mag-suicide just for you to prove that there is God. May mga tao kasi na, ay, siya nga nakaligtas eh. Di ba? Pero it's just so happen na talagang sovereign si Lord above all ng plans ko in life. So, hindi pa rin ako dun natuto kahit na niligtas na ako ni Lord for 3 times. During that time, inurong na yung kaso. So, parang, see, di ba? Parang di mo talaga ako matitiis. Parang gano'n, nililigtas mo ako sa suicide, tapos inurong pa yung kaso, may lisensya ako. So, instead na maging humbling moment ko yon, talagang mas naging mayabang pa ako. So, during that time, yung mama ko umuuwi from a mission, from mission trips, ganyan. So, I planned to kill my mom. I wanted to kill my mom and my brother, na during that time, youth pastor na siya. So, I would go to my mom's house in Laguna. Tapos, pag nakita ko lahat ng mga pwede kong manakaw na nakawin ko, kahit yung mga pang-mission na walang kinalaman sa akin, pang-dental mission, ganyan. Just because I don't want na makinabang yung church. I don't want makinabang yung mga tao dito sa mission nila. And then, I plan to na patayin yung mama ko, how? So, sinisipa ko siya sa dibdib. Tapos, I would try to burn my mom. Gusto ko talaga siyang sunugin, ganyan. And then, of course, yung kuya ko, I would go to my brother's house in Cavite, and ang kwento sa akin ng kuya ko, pag nakikita niya ako, ibang-iba daw kulay ko, tapos alam niya na nag-a-addict na ako, tapos every time nabubuksan niya yung bag ko, ang kwento niya ay nagagalit ako lalo sa kanya kasi nakikita niya yung mga aparatos ko, ganyan. And then, hanggang sa ang naaalala ko lang is I would try to kill my brother. I would bang him on the wall. Hindi ako titigil hanggat di ko siya nakikitang duguan. Kasi gusto ko talaga mamatay silang dalawa. Kasi para sa akin, deserved nila yon. Kasi, biro mo pinili yung maniwala sa Diyos na pumatay sa tatay ko. Nandun ako sa point na galit pa rin talaga ako. But then, my turning point happened when I was 23. So, during that time, my mom went back to Thailand for a mission. At hindi na niya alam gagawin sa buhay ko kasi 11 years na. So, ito ay ni-reveal na lang niya nung siya ay in-interview ng MMK. So, sabi niya, one night, nag-pray yung mama ko at yung prayer niya, Lord, kung hindi mo napapakinabangan at ng bansang Pilipinas si Abigail, kunin mo na siya.
Wow. You would never expect any mother or parent to say that kind of prayer.
Yes.
I know my mom prayed for me, but I'm sure she didn't pray that kind of prayer. Imprecatory prayer, actually. Ang tawag sa ganyan, mga Bible scholars, where you pray harm upon people. But why would you think she said that? Did that anger you? Or did you like, well, I think I deserve that? Or was it just as a just prayer?
Kasi yun ang sabi nga ng mama ko, desperate prayer na niya yun. Parang hindi na niya kayang, of course malayo siya sa akin, pero yung instinct ng moms, 'di ba? Na alam niyang meron akong ginagawa, marami akong ginagawang mali. And sabi niya sa akin, ayaw na niyang madagdagan pa. Parang sa mind niya daw noon, kung may chance pa, Lord, na ma-save tong anak ko, kahit 1%. Okay. So, ayaw niya talaga na ipag-pray yun, pero wala na siyang choice.
So, it's like a prayer of mercy, actually. Kasi I've heard somebody tell me recently then na baka kaya kinuha si ganito is because baka hindi na niya kayang magbago talaga or maging worse pa siya if hindi pa siya mawala. So, that's an assumption right there. So, do you think somewhere along the way, if you continued on this destructive behavior, that you would not be around anymore kasi ang dami mo nung nalusutan na close call. So at 23, you said that's the turning point.
Yes. So exactly that night na nagpray yung mama ko, dun ko na-encounter si Christ. So andun nakita ako sa aking apartment, overdose. So yun yung night talaga that changed me. Kasi
what did you OD from, if I may ask? The party drugs?
Yes. And I have a lot of sexual activities, of course. Kasi nga, nasa industry ako ng prostitution. So, during that time, I was overdosed. And I thought, when I die, I would go to heaven. For two main foolish reasons talaga. Because number one, I'm a daughter of a pastor. So, nandun nga, di ba, parang, ang foolish naman ng taong to. Kala mo, pag anak ka ng pastor, sasabit ka sa salvation ng tatay mo.
Tatay ko nagbayad po.
Yes. So, because number one, I'm a daughter of a pastor. And number two, habang ginagawa ko lahat ng kalokohan na yun, from 12 to 23, I was still inside the church. I was very active inside the church. In fact, I discipled thousands of young people. I became the head of theater ministry, of discipleship ministry, youth ministry. So you were
doing all that while all that was happening. Like you were still studying and then you were doing ministry. You had multitasking on steroids. You didn't take steroids, but it's like what I don't know if the drugs enhanced your abilities to do all that. But that's crazy. I mean, I can't imagine how all that went on at a young age. And then, so you're saying, na-overdose ka. What happened though? Did you just pray by yourself? Did the pastor come? I don't know. Did somebody show up? An angel?
So nung diba, my thought was I'm going to heaven when I die. So during that time I know that I'm dying. But the turning point happened when the Lord allowed to see a vision of myself, not in heaven but in hell. So, I was there para talagang malaking kumunoy na nilalamon ka. And then the pain, as in talagang, sabi ko nga, hindi ko talaga ma-explain yung physical pain na naramdaman ko during that time. So, nung time na yon, it was a desperate moment also sa akin. So, every time people would ask me what I remember during that time, isa lang. I was shouting out loud to the Lord and sabi ko, Lord, one last chance, one last chance. Ibalik mo lang yung buhay ko. Promise ko sa'yo, pagsasawaan mo to hanggang pagtanda ko. And the rest, hindi ko na siya maalala. The next thing na naalala ko na ay may group of Christian people na tumulong sa akin para unti-unti akong ipasok sa Christian way ng rehabilitation. So for 2 years yun actually na inayos pati yung speech ko, pananamit ko, yung mindset ko, lahat. But during those years na inaayos ako, of course humingi na ako, pumunta ako sa mom ko, isahang beses, pumunta ako sa mama ko at saka sa kuya ko. During that time, nasa Laguna sila. And I kneel down. Talagang nagpakumbaba ako and then isang bagsakan sinabi ko lahat. That moment, syempre parang iniisip ko, bahala na kung itakwil na talaga nila ako. Kasi biro mo 11 years, di ka nagpapakita, tapos biglang darating ka, sisiwalat mo lahat. But dun ko nakita yung pagmamahal talaga. Yung pag ang tao nakaranas ng pagmamahal sa Diyos, kaya niyang ibigay yung pagmamahal na yun. Kasi when I said everything, my mom only mentioned this phrase, okay, Gail, let's start over again. Imagine this, parang pwede niya akong sampalin, pwede niya akong sipain, pwede. Pero hindi. At saka napakasimple, pero yung sinabi lang niya sa akin, let's start over again. Walang tanong na, bakit? Bakit mo ginawa yun? Walang ganun eh. Sabi lang niya, let's start over again. And only a person who experienced the love of Christ can do that exact thing that my mom did. Ako, I'll say, hindi ko kaya yung ganung level. Magtatanong ako, bakit, paano nangyari yun? Nagkulang ba ako? Anong mali ko? Ganyan. Pero siya walang tanong. Yeah. In fact, from that day until namatay siya last year, she never asked. Doon ko nakita na kapag ang tao may matinding relasyon sa Panginoon, alam niya kung paano din isurrender. Ba ako, anak niya, sinurrender niya ako sa Panginoon at masaya na siya na nakabalik ako kay Lord, na encounter ko si Lord. So, wala nang investigation,
So she had probably no doubt that the Lord really moved in your life. And that's why for her, it was like, no, it's done. Parang no need to explain. I've been praying for this day to happen and now it's here. So I'm not going to act like I didn't pray for this. Parang ganon. So I'm sorry to hear about your mother. But I'm sure if she's talking with your father about what happened, and he's very much pleased. I just preached on the prodigal son story, actually. And so we have the prodigal daughter here.
Yes.
And she's telling us, yeah, it works also on prodigal's daughters. Yung love ng father, love of parents, and of course, the love of God. Now, I have some questions that I do want to ask you. Like, for instance, what can you say with pastors out there who may be overdoing it or overworking? How do we balance them out?
Yeah. Actually, di ba lagi naman sinasabi that the first ministry is the family. However, naiintindihan ko yung mga pastors na iba kasi yung mga pastors na halimbawa, especially pag nagsisimula ka pa lang, di ba? Parang ang dami mong kailangan gawin, nasa iyo lahat, nasa iyo yung malaking burden. Naiintindihan ko naman yon. But of course, I want to remind our dearest pastors that ang labanan kasi ngayon ay buhay na, hindi lang salita eh. So, kung halimbawa, especially sa generation na to, kung makita ng mga anak natin na, uy, grabe, ang dami mong time ang dami kong time sa mga bata para makinig sila, pero sa amin wala kang time makinig. So, ang tingin talaga ng mga bata ay, sino ba talaga to? Parang doble cara ba to? Ganyan. So, I suggest na whatever yung ginagawa, kaya nating gawin sa labas, it would always start in the it should always start in the family. But I'm not saying po na hindi ko naiintindihan yung sacrifices ng mga pastors. Naiintindihan ko po yun now that I'm a campus missionary. I do understand. But we just always need to go back doon sa first calling. You know, ngayon, I'm a campus missionary, but my husband would always tell me, no, pag-uwi mo ng bahay, asawa ka. Pag-uwi mo ng bahay, nanay ka.
Oh, life update, she is now happily married.
Yes.
And has a family. So, praise God for that. How quickly things can turn around.
Yes.
I mean, kanina, parang when I'm listening to your testimony, and I'm sure some people who are watching this, it's like a roller coaster ride. Like, oh, how is she now? Is she still, up or down?
Yeah.
But anyhow, mga pastors, gusto ko rin kayong kausapin. This is why niyayaya ko yung basketball. Like, I'm like, we're not doing this just to have fun and play games. This is for your physical body. Kasi nga, hindi naman kayo mapa-gym eh. Ang hirap niyong yayain sa gym. At might as well. And some of them actually feel bad pa. Like, hindi kailangan kong mag-ministry. Like, we would set fellowship basketballs on a holiday. And some of them would be like, sorry, can't make it anymore kasi biglang may gawain. I'm like, yeah, but what about your body? If you don't take care of that, didn't you ever think na wala nang body kang gagamitin for the body? So preserve that body of yours. Mga pastors, don't feel bad if, spend time with the family. And of course, you do things for yourself. Kasi, yung mahalaga po sa akin na ito yung parang advocacy ko rin sa mga pastor na preserve your physical bodies para nga mas stronger ka sa ministry and sa family. Now, suppose there are PKs out there, like David over there. He's a PK, our camera guy. And I have a PK. So, wag naman sana, God forbid, na kunin ako ng Lord during the preaching. But, for me, that's not a bad way to go. I would choose that probably to be one of my top 3. Yeah, why not? But if ever there's some of them who felt like you, if ever their dad or parent goes off and then they start blaming the Lord or ministry, what can you say to them?
Actually, number 1 na kailangan nilang gawin ay humanap ng tao, yung tamang tao na mapagsasabihan. Kasi in my case, hindi ako nag-seek ng help. May mga times kasi na kailangan mong, malulunod ka na. Siyempre, kailangan mong humingi ng tulong sa klolo, salbabida. Diba? Pero sa case ko, hindi. Ayoko ng salbabida, ayoko ng tao. So, sinolo ko lahat. That's the first thing na mali ko. Kasi may mga tao pa rin talagang ilalagay si Lord sa buhay mo na ready at willing silang mag-help. You just need to wave your hand and then raise your flag na sabi mo hindi mo talaga kaya. So that's number 1. You seek for the right people, godly people. Godly people hindi yung pwedeng nagsik ka tapos dun sa mga taong gusto nilang sasabihin sa tenga mo. Pero kailangan dun sa mga taong may takot talaga sa Diyos. That's number 1. Number 2, you really need to grieve. Grieving is a process. Wala tong time limit. Wala siya yung parang, uy, dapat next year okay ka na. Ba't di ka okay? Siguro kasi hindi ka nagbabasa ng Bible. Siguro hindi ka kasi nagpe-pray. Actually, isa yan sa pinakamalaking fault ng church, Pastor, I believe. Kasi we were so highly spiritual that we tend not to listen talaga dun sa pinagdadaanan ng mga tao. So ako, I always say na just grieve, just be in the process. Iyan, walang time limit, walang magsasabi sa'yo na next year okay ka na dapat, next month okay ka na dapat.
Okay.
May mga tao na kapag nag-grieve sila, ang gusto nila makinig ka lang. Presensya mo lang. And yun ang mga pastor's kid dyan na may pinagdadaanan. You need to be in that process, but at the same time, habang nandun ka sa process, kailangan may accountability ka. There must be someone na willing mag-join doon sa journey na tatahakin mo. Whether yan ay grieving, whether yan ay healing journey, kailangan may kasama ka. Dapat hindi ka nag-iisa.
Yes, because God gives us a lot of people around us and we're too busy sometimes or stubborn para tignan yun. So yeah, when you're grieving kasi parang ang nakikita ko is you're trying to patch like wounds that are not even closed yet and you're like, hindi, dapat tapos na to. So it seems to me every time there's a hurt, what is just around the corner is some sort of addiction waiting, an accident waiting to happen. And whether it's pornography or drugs or any of those things, if you don't be careful, if you don't have someone that you can go to and will listen to you, but at the same time, siguro, you will listen to. You have to choose somebody who you be like, yeah, I give this person the authority to tell me in my face if I'm being too much of a baby or okay lang maging crybaby during this period. You know, balance kumbaga, no?
Against the flow.
Now, God did something wonderful. It's really amazing grace na you started Rescue Kabataan. After God rescued this kabataan, can you please tell our viewers about RK?
So, year 2015, ilang months na rin or mag-1 year na rin na I'm sharing my story all over the Philippines, ganyan kung saan-saan. But then, I was asking God na, sabi ko, Lord, yun na yung gagawin ko. Mag-share ako ng story paulit-ulit. Parang, kung naiyak yung crowd, ano ngayon? Para, I wanted God to give me yung deeper purpose ko sa life. So, nung time na yon 2015, I was engaged sa isang youth pastor. And then, one day, nawala yung youth pastor. Until now, di na kami nagkita. Nawala siya. So, ginamit ni Lord yung situation na yon para,
Wait, nawala siya? Like rapture?
Hindi po sir.
Yeah. You just...
Yeah, okay. No, nawala. Walang breakup, walang ganun. Okay. We're okay. Tas bigla na lang nawala.
Okay.
So, ginamit ni Lord yung moment na yun para magising ako. Kasi, ilang months na pala, the Lord has been, kumbaga, parang ina-awaken niya ako na mayroon siyang gustong ipagawa sa akin. Pero I was so focused on the concept of getting married. I wanted to get married, kaya na-engage ako noong 2015.
How old were you at that time?
27.
You're 27, okay.
So, I was so focused on getting married kasi ilang buwan na lang, nakalatag na yung date, ganyan. So, hindi ko na marinig yung kung ano yung instructions ni Lord. Kasi ang narinig ko na lang, puro kilig na lang. Diba? So, kailangan tanggalin pala ni Lord tong taong to para marinig ko kung ano yung gusto niyang sabihin sa akin. So, may mga paraan sa Lord in a very, very hard way na kailangan para magising ako. So, because of that, ginamit ni Lord yung situation na yon. I went to the prayer garden, ganyan sa Amadeo, Cavite. I stayed there for 2 weeks and then nag-pray and fasting ako. And then, doon ni-reveal ni Lord, meron ka pa palang gagawin, Abigail. Ito na yung sinasabi mo na you want a deeper purpose in life. So, the Lord encountered me on that moment and then, ang ni-reveal niya sa akin, what did I do to you, Abigail? What did I do to you? Paulit-ulit lang yan. Isang word lang, rescued. Yun lang nasa utak ko talaga, ni-rescue ako ni Lord. So what do you need to do? Rescue others as well. So June 11, 2015, doon sa prayer garden na yon ay ipinanganak ang movement na Rescue Kabataan. Amen. So, yung modules, lahat, yung system, lahat yan, from day 1 until now, it's all original. Doon lahat pinanganak yon. So, until, of course, dahil ang Rescue Kabataan ay, ang instruction sa akin ni Lord noon ay, i-register siya NGO, etc. Hindi siya church, ganyan. So, nobody wants to believe. Even yung mga former pastors ko, talagang wala. Even my brother, wala talagang gustong maniwala. Only my mom. Sabi ng mama ko sa akin, Gail, yan yung vision na pinakita sa akin ni Lord.
So sa mami mo din pinakita?
Yes. Yeah, yun yung vision na pinakita daw sa kanya ni Lord even before pa siya mag-pray na kunin na ako. Kaya nga it was so painful to her kasi alam niyang may papagawa si Lord. It's just that hindi na niya ako makontrol eh. Wala
during
na
that time talagang it seems
impossible niya. So, because, so nag-start ako sa Imus Cavite hanggang sa napunta siya, nakilala siya ng DepEd, nalaman siya ng National Youth Commission, hanggang sa nagkaroon kami ng Memorandum of Agreement with the Department of Education. Now, RK is a mental health program of DepEd Central Office, wherein we are allowed to saturate all public and private junior, senior high school sa buong Pilipinas. And this includes also lahat ng ALS and OSY nationwide.
Wow, that is amazing. And definitely, if you're watching this and you want to get involved in rescuing the kabataan, the campuses, this is who to go to. You know, RK used to be something, ang alam ko lang sa RK is a band called Reliant K. But now, I'm a bigger fan of this RK right here because this is an advocacy. This is what a great cause it is. And so, you have trainings that go on for this. I remember we talked about that, and there's a lot of churches that you are in partnership with. And so, how's it been? It's been 10 years.
Yes, 10 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Pastor. 10 years na ang RK.
And there's just more and more kabataans out there. So that means there's more and more rescuing. So would you like to call out to people to partner with you?
Yes. So, open na ang partnership for next school year na. Kasi we are about to launch this school year. And then, if you are interested in partnering with Rescue Kabataan and adopting the program, of course, ibig sabihin nito, you are legally allowed to enter any campuses na gusto mong pasukin as long as you will undergo a training and dapat yung school na yun ay malapit sa inyong vicinity, within the community. So you can message Rescue Kabataan Philippines Facebook page and send us a message and malaman namin kung nasaan kayong lugar. So you can also visit yung mga openings and yung magiging ongoing operations ng RK. We will be operating inside the school for 8 months. So kung malapit kayo dun sa mga schools na merong RK ngayon, then you can visit us and para makita nyo kung ano yung flow ng program.
Wow. So basically, you are sending people in the campuses to be ears and the hands and feet, mouths of Jesus. Kasi parang we're providing the students a place. So sometimes they give you a room and you can counsel students who are troubled, yung mga may pinagdadaanan or whatever. But basta, there's a lot of suicidal students nowadays, a lot of depressed. So we could use more ears who will give a time to listen. And so you train people to go in those campuses and basically be a pastor there for anyone who needs it. Now, it reminds me of an old series called 13 Reasons. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
have you
I
ever
know
watched that?
that.
There's a trigger. That's grabe yung trigger ng ano na yun, yung series na yun. But can you imagine what if there was an RK in that school? Maybe yung bida doon is still around because pinakita din doon. I remember I was able to watch it then, so I could find out more about mental health and what they're talking about. And one of the things that struck me there is yung the main character who ended her life later on. It showed her going to the principal at kung kani-kanino, but unfortunately they were not really there to help her or ready to listen. But Miss Abby here, RK, they're gonna do the opposite of that.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for doing that and what you do. Hey everyone, did you enjoy the podcast? Then support us, like and subscribe us on YouTube. Our Facebook page is Against the Flow Media. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Against the Flow TV and email at weareagainsttheflow@gmail.com. You want to give any shout outs before we say goodbye?
Shout out sa kasama ko dito sa studio, ang ating Rescue Kabataan coordinators ng Taytay, si Ate Ona Selga, at ang Rescue Kabataan Rizal coordinator, si Ate Angel. And of course, I want to shout out also to our DepEd Philippines family, Sec Angara, and the rest of the team. And of course, sa ating pinakagwapo, pinakapogi sa buhay ko na Executive Director ng Rescue Kabataan. That's my husband, Kuya Patrick.
Hey, bro.
Yes.
So maybe we should guest him here then.
Yes,
we'll talk
yes,
more on
yes.
RK.
Yes.
And how can people get in touch? You have a socials?
Yes, kindly message us, Rescue Kabataan Philippines. That's the main page. Or kung halimbawa nasa Antipolo kayo, so may nakabukod din na page Rescue Kabataan Antipolo. Pero kung hindi nyo mahanap yung mga locations na yan, you can message Rescue Kabataan Philippines.
Well, that's it. Thank you so much for guesting. We hope to have you back.
Yes, thank you so much,
Pastor. We're looking forward
Pastor.
to more things. And thank you. I hope you guys were all blessed and touched out there. Let us know, okay? Comment lang, like and subscribe. And my name is Jordan, reminding you, only dead fish swim with the current. So like Miss Abby over here, let's all go against the flow.
Lumingon ka lang at may kasama. Kontra sa sud,
Ekutok yan agos.
laban ako sa agos.
I go against the flow. Sumugat dati agos.
Kontra sulod,
Laban ako sa agos.
I go against the flow. Bye, tara na't sumama. Kaya mo ba?
Tol, makinig ka sa payo.
Manindigan na.
Kung akala mo'y nag-iisa ka,
Lumingon ka lang at may kasama. Kontra sa sud,
ekutok yan agos.
laban ako sa agos. I go against the flow.
Sumugat dati agos.
Kontra sulod,
Laban ako sa agos.
I go against the flow.
Huwag hayaang hamakin iyong kabataan, maging halimbawa. Huwag hayaang hamakin iyong kabataan, maging halimbawa.
Sa salita, sa gawa, bakit ka naiiba? Sa karamihan, kalaliman ng iyong daladala. Nakalathala ni Bathala, kikid ng naparantala at palayan sa tanda. Simulan mo na habang bata na di porkit usot tama, huwag kang sasabay sa atos. Ginawa ka po ng Diyos para lumaya nakagamos. Pagkatapos, ilabas ang iyong liwanag sa dilim at pag-asang hawak mo sa puso nila itanim.
Lumingon ka lang at may kasama. Kontra sa sud, ekutok yang agos. Laban ako sa agos. I go against the flow. Subok